Hello barbecue fans. Today we are going to be smoking some ribs. I got a couple of racks of baby back ribs. Before we get started on what I do to spice them up, just want to show you that what to look for when you go to the grocery store to select your rack of ribs. As you can see, this one, both of these racks have a little bit of fat. Nothing wrong with that. What you don't want is to see a huge area of fat through the package. Most supermarkets will put the labels in this area, so make sure that you're selecting a good looking rib. These ribs here are really meaty ribs. What I like to look for is a rib that's got a nice big hunk of meat on the side here, as opposed to being able to see the bones here. If I turn this sideways, you can see how meaty these are. Not worried too much about this fat here. I will remove the membrane here on the back, so the spice can penetrate the meat as well. I just grab a napkin. I'll show you guys that process here in a little bit on how I remove this membrane here in the back. It's not good to bite through, and plus your spices can't get through the meat. One other thing is, if you see like some of this silver skin, I'll show you guys how to cut that off. Nothing too bad. These are trimmed up pretty nicely. So stay tuned. Alright guys, as I mentioned, there's a little bit of silver skin, not too much, just this little piece. Get a good sharp knife. I like to sharpen my knives every time I'm going to use them, so they're nice and sharp. But simply try to dig under it, and it comes off pretty easy. If you just slide your knife under the fat, it comes off really easy. Just have a little handle to hold on to. Again, I don't want anybody to have to bite through that, so I'm just going to take that off. Again, it's just a little bit of silver skin, nothing too bad. So other than that, these look great. I'm going to wash my hands real quick, and I'll be right back. Alright, one of the nice things about wearing gloves, obviously when you're cooking, you're protecting yourself and the food from getting contaminated. Plus you can wash your hands even with soap and just dry them off. Alright, so on these ribs, I am not going to cover these in my smoker. They're going to remain completely uncovered. I will spritz them with some pineapple juice to keep them moist. But I want to show you what spices I'm going to put on them. This spice here, they call it sazon, came highly recommended. So I'm going to try a little bit of it. A little bit goes a long way. I'm using two small packages of this in my spice mix. You can see that there's 8 packages in a little box, but it's got some saffron in it, so it's going to give the ribs a nice color as well. So I've got 2 of those packages already inside this little bowl. You can see how orange this product is. Nice little red colors in there as well. So along with that, same process guys, I'm going to pepper these up. Get my tablespoon. Okay. So you're going to get 3 tablespoons of pepper. Don't have to be 100% exact. Alright, 3 tablespoons of pepper. And I'm only going to use 1 tablespoon of salt. This is coarse kosher salt, so about one tablespoon into that. And then also 1 tablespoon of granulated garlic. I try to stay away from the powder. It tends to clump up on your meat, especially if you like to rub the meat down. It'll clump up on you. The powder will, so I try to use granulated garlic. Most barbecue guys out there will save their empty spice shakers, especially when you're mixing your own spices like we are today. It's good to always save them and have something to put your spices in to put it on your meat. So with this, guys, I do have a small funnel. Just simply put it back inside this bottle. Hopefully it all fits in there. Alright, perfect. It's got a really good smell to it already. Put your lid back on there. Make sure you shake it. Shake it good so all the spices get mixed up in there. Alright. Should be good to go. Alright, before I add the spices, I'm going to put some olive oil on the ribs. This is nothing more than to get the spices to stick to the meat. Alright guys, after you rub some olive oil on the top side of the rib, go ahead and flip them. Remember we told you we're going to remove this membrane from the back of it. The easiest way I found to do this is to just grab a napkin and pinch the membrane here. Okay, try to fold it all the way through. Comes off pretty simple. Just pull all the way through. Again, this is pretty tough to chew through. It's almost like it's just a membrane, but it's like plastic, so you definitely want to take that off of both ribs. Once we take the membrane off, I like to take this off, guys. You'll have this flap of meat sometimes. I want to take that off because all that's going to do is just burn. Okay, trim these up a little bit, not too much. Again, these are pretty good. Trim this up a little bit more. Okay. All right. So again, I've got my spices that you saw me mix up. I want to put enough of these spices on your ribs. Make sure you cover it completely. That way every piece of meat has some spice to it. Like I mentioned, these are pretty meaty ribs, so you want to make sure you get the sides of them as well. Okay, and then get the bottom side of it. Not a whole lot on the bottom, but enough to penetrate a little bit of the meat. Definitely don't forget the sides. Alright, next one. Again, put enough spices throughout the meat. Trim the loose hanging meat, if you will. All that's going to do is burn on you. I had already taken the membrane off of this rack. It's completely covered. All right, folks, so fixing to put the ribs in the smoker. Today I am cooking on a Yoder smoker. It is a YS640 pellet smoker. For those of you guys that are not familiar with a pellet smoker, simply put, it has a little hopper here and it uses pellets. These pellets are pretty much sawdust. In this case it's mesquite They kind of grind it down and put it in a pellet form, and these pellets fall into a hopper inside the smoker, into a little firebox, and that creates your smoke. I do have the temperature set at 225. It's been going for about, or warming up I should say, for about 10 minutes or so. So my pit's nice and warm and at temperature, at what I want it. Again, I'm going to cook these ribs here probably for about 5 hours. 5 hours total cook time, maybe 5.5 depending on the appearance. I am not going to cover these ribs. A lot of people like to cover the ribs. Helps speed up the cooking process for sure, but I definitely don't want to give them that steam effect. You do get some nice pullback. Pullback is when the meat pulls back from the bone a little bit, and you're able to see that. But again, I really like the smoky flavor ribs, so I will not be wrapping these ribs whatsoever. Again, it's mainly because I do like the smoky flavor. So I'm using the top rack on my smoker. A lot of smokers or pellet smokers but only have this bottom grates, but the heat is definitely a little bit more intense on the bottom than it is on the top. I think so, and it's a little bit more even up here on the top. So again, we're going to leave them for about 5 hours, 5.5 hours total cook time. I will spritz them about every hour and a half, and just to make sure they don't dry up on me. We'll take a look at them. It might be sooner depending on how they look as we go along, so stay tuned, guys. Alright guys, so it's been about 2.5 hours. Ribs are looking really good. Spritzed them about every hour or so, and it's time to spritz them again. I'm just spritzing them to keep them nice and moist, using just plain old pineapple juice. And again, this will help keep the meat nice and moist. Also, pineapple juice is pretty sweet, so a lot of people will use brown sugar to try to sweeten up their ribs, give it a nice flavor. Also, it'll change the color with the smoke. A little bit of a darker color on the bark. But so far looking really good. We're about halfway done, and the ribs are looking amazing. Alrighty folks, so we're at hour number 4. Ribs still looking really good, taking on some good color. Again, that sazon spice that I put on there gave the ribs a nice orange reddish color. So I'm gonna spritz a few more times here before we're done. Check on it in an hour. So a couple more hours or so, an hour and a half to 2 hours, we should be done. So stay tuned, guys. Alright folks, we're going to take a break from the barbecue for a minute. I want to show you how I'm going to make my my beans. In this pan, this cast iron skillet, I've got some chorizo, and it's cooked 100%. To that I'm going to add some green chili and onions, and the green chili has been roasted. That green chili's got some bite to it, some heat to it. It's from Hatch, New Mexico, so it's 100% cooked. The onions, I don't want to cook them 100%. They're still going to boil in the beans a little bit. But once you got your chile, your green chile, and your chorizo and onions in there, just add your beans. I've cooked these beans fresh today. I'm going to ladle some in here. That smells amazing. make sure we add some of the juice from the beans here. I'm not going to mash these or anything. These are going to stay 100% whole. So just mix it up in there a little bit. Let's add a couple more ladles. And a little bit more juice. The reason I want so much juice in here, guys, is because part of this recipe, we're going to add 3 cups of pork rinds. These are going to reconstitute with the juice. You want to get the small pork rinds, not the big ones. These small ones work really, really good. Give the beans a really good flavor. And so you want to cook these or actually warm them up. Pretty much everything's cooked. Just simmer them for about 15-20 minutes. Let the pork rinds or the chicharron get soft. And my lovely wife is making some potato salad to go with our ribs and our beans. So stay tuned, guys. Alright guys, the ribs are ready. They cooked for about 5 hours on my smoker. You can see the amazing bark that they took on. They smell amazing. So what I'm going to do, I know I said I wasn't going to put any sauce on them, but what I'm going to do for this rack here is I'm going to cut them. I'm going to sauce them and put them back in the smoker for about less than 10 minutes. Just to let the sauce set. So I'm going to slice a few of these up. It's easier if you turn the rack upside down and then slice them. They took on a lot of smoke. Again, 5.5 hours, completely uncovered. Oops, got the bone, looks like. It's a long time. So that's the way I like my ribs, you know, nice and smoky. They're still really juicy. I let them sit for about 15 minutes before I started cutting them. Alright guys, so I just want to show you that, you know, these ribs are still really, really juicy. You can see the juice running out of them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sauce them. Made my homemade sauce and glaze. So again, just simply sauce them up. And I'm going to return them back to the smoker and let the sauce set. Get it nice and covered. Okay, so I'm going to do this to the entire rack of ribs, and I'll show you what they look like when I take them off. Alright guys, these are the ribs that I sauced up. They look really, really nice. So I'm going to taste them both and see which one I like. These are the ones with no sauce. I want to show you guys, these are still extremely juicy. You can see the juice just running off of the rib. So they're nice and juicy. I think I'm going to like this one, but let's taste them both. Let's see what we got. Alright, here we go guys. Nice bite through. Really good flavor. I think that that spice mix works really, really well. All right, I'm going to try one of the sauce ones, and we'll see which one I like better. Here's a sauce one. Really nice glaze. See the pepper in the top of the rib there? Looks really, really good. So let's try this one. I don't know, guys. I think I'm liking the sauce one now. So either way, guys, this is a great recipe. Highly recommend you try it. And thanks for watching. Subscribe, share my videos. Thanks for watching.